the end of Pokemon Go. We'll see what this video is about as well. Alright, so we're gonna watch this video together. Let me pause the music here. Let's see what this is all about. Is this fact or fiction? What are they getting at? Is this about the raid pass update? Who knows? I mean, it's probably a combination of like many things Niantic has done. I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, let's watch this video and see what it's all about. Starting off to a great start.
What is going on with Pokemon?
Wait, what?
Is it just pure incompetence? Or is there something more?
Wait, was that AI generated voice?
Going on with Pokemon?
Who killed Pokemon Go?
What is going on with Pokemon?
Yeah, that had to be.
Is it just pure incompetence?
It's
Or is
crazy.
there something more sinister going on?
Should I move
behind the
myself?
scenes? It all started with the changes made to remote raid passes. Now, remote raid passes were easily the
I'll go
most
over here for now. I don't know.
unanimously loved feature they have ever added to the game. They were originally added during the height of the pandemic to allow players to still enjoy the game from home, but it
Yes.
did much more than that. So much so that it basically fixed the fundamental problems plaguing the game since release. You see, all of the best content in the game, like legendaries and mega Pokemon,
I mean,
are locked behind raids.
I feel like there's a different angle you could take from this, is that the way raids were designed to begin with are just bad. And it's still bad. And like, yes, adding remote raiding maybe potentially did solve a problem that like in-person raiding has. But I feel like the raid system in general is just overall bad.
Now, raids work as follow. A raid egg will spawn at any random location at any random time IRL. It will then hatch into whatever the raid Pokemon is, and stay there for the next 45 minutes.
I'll turn this up a
From
bit.
there, you need to physically go to where the raid is happening, exchange your raid pass that you get only once a day, and work together with other players to beat it. On paper, it sounds pretty fun, but in practice, it's one of the most stupid mechanics I've ever played. Cause who the hell is gonna be at this random park sign at 1:45 PM on a Tuesday afternoon to catch a Landorus? The only way to really participate in the game
apparently.
is if you have a heavily coordinated and dedicated group of players that preferably live in the city to meet up at these random locations at random times. If you don't have that, now this is where remote raid passes come in. Because with a remote raid pass, you can join a raid from anywhere. As long as you
I'm just watching a video that I saw pop up my recommended. It's just the title of the YouTube video. I'm watching it to see what it's all about. Like, what are they getting at? I'm not claiming it's the end of Pokemon Go. I hope no one thinks that with the title of the stream. I'm watching a YouTube video titled that. Like, what would I be watching? And we're just sitting here. Like, I'm like the NSA of Pokemon Go. I'm watching everyone and watching it go down. Like, I don't know. Oh, it's ended for you. That's fine. It's kind of ended for a lot of people, I feel like.
have someone on your friends list
but I'm
present
just
at the raid
I'm
to
just
invite you,
seeing what this
you can
person's
join
point
any
is.
raid in the world.
It seems to be
Because
about
of
the
this
raid
feature,
pass stuff.
Pokemon GO made more money during the pandemic than when it peaked in 2016. That's how popular this feature was. However, from day one, remote raid passes were a reluctant addition. They were only there to keep profits up during the pandemic. And now that the pandemic has subsided, they've been slowly trying to phase them out. Starting with removing the free weekly remote raid pass.
Yeah,
the
that was
addition of
nice.
Elite
Honestly,
Raid, which is essentially just a raid that does.
see, it's like, that's the problem with this, is that like, Pokemon Go tries so hard to maintain these gimmick gameplay, which at first, like he said earlier in the video, it's cool, but in practice, when you're doing it a lot and the way the game is designed to be grinded, it's actually not that enjoyable. It's very tedious. You kind of aren't getting excited about every raid you participate in. You're kind of doing it because it's like you have to acquire a higher IV at Shiny or XL Candy at this point. But yeah, it's like very interesting in general, I guess. Like,
doesn't allow remote raid passes. And finally,
but yeah, like the company itself, when Niantic released the raid pass feature, the free pass a week was so nice for sure. I remember I would try to use it, and whenever they toy with people showing how a game could be better and then they take it away, that's what most people are upset about in this regard. Like, you know, I could focus and be like, I think rating design is predatory and not really the best game design for a consumer in general. But in the current state of the game where they did allow you to do remote raiding, that was actually better for sure. Like, there's no denying that remote raiding was not better than being there in person, for not even just safety reasons, but it's just the most opportunity you would ever possibly have to actually complete these raids. And that's the main thing we need to like emphasize here, is regardless of what people feel about whales in the community and like it's a microtransaction, etc., the reality is it was just better, and they took it away from people. Like, they didn't necessarily take it away, but they monetized it heavier, and they put limitations on it, which, you know, it's arguable, because I'm sure from their end there's people that do hundreds of raids a day, which in my opinion isn't necessarily healthy. But you know, at the same time, you can do whatever you want with your money. What's my opinion? Like, if you're happy, who cares what I think about what you do? You know, that's how I feel about life as well. So I think it's important to realize that it's not necessarily the whales that we should be mad at in this. I see people in the community coming, like people who are okay with this update, they're not the problem. You know what I mean? Like, they're allowed to voice their opinion and be okay with this. But at the end of the day, the reality is Niantic just is terrible at even communicating with their player base. I mean, they've been really bad with communicating from day one. I remember Trainer Tips in the early days of Pokemon Go. He was the only person who knew somehow like what was going on at times, and I'd tune into his channel all the time to understand certain events and such. It's actually like so Niantic for this to be how it plays out. But let's continue on the video.
The thing that has them in hot water right now, doubling the price of remote raid passes and adding a cap to how many you can use.
Yeah, a lot of people.
This was the final straw. Tons of Pokemon.
You were playing during that time when we all got those crazy pass bundles, the raid pass bundles. So many people to this day have like hundreds of passes. I've seen like content creators delete raid passes before because it was just taking up inventory space, and they weren't really the type of item they were using on the regular at that point. I was like, whoa, that's crazy. But, you know, to each their own.
Go players took to the internet, making their voice heard. Any single post relating to the game was flooded with players posting exactly how they felt about these changes, to the point where it was impossible to not see it, all while Niantic turns a blind eye and acts like nothing's happening. But that's not where the fun ends, because
Do you know how many people are doing GoFest this year? I mean, I'm not doing GoFest. You know, I haven't been playing this game actively. I'm thinking it makes sense to them that they were trying to balance out the game. Like, they're trying to, even though it's kind of like a FU to hardcore players and OG players, like to them, it doesn't really, like, I think it's clear to them that they can get away with moving on successfully with controversy. It's happened many times in the past, like where events have been turned on that were supposed to be shiny odds, but they weren't shiny at the beginning of the event. So a lot of people were raiding these Pokemon, going out of their day, making time to raid these Pokemon. Also in person, if you remember the Entei event, I think it was Entei and Raikou back. It was like some event like a couple years ago during maybe it was like near Halloween. I don't remember, but there was some notorious event where they launched these like the legendary beast back in raids, and they were supposed to be shiny odds, and it didn't happen. And it's like, how do they even compensate that? They just extend the event so they profit even more in a way. It's almost like better for them to kind of like get everyone to go in and get their hopes up for these events, milk that, and then it's like, oh, sorry, we'll actually just extend the event longer. Because I don't know, like they give you like free raid passes occasionally, but it's really like nothing to them.
The worst thing you can do after a PR disaster like this is screw up even more. Literally right after the remote raid pass change, we had the April Fool's event, which had fans clamoring for the recently released Zorua to make an appearance. But instead, Pokemon Go players were treated to having all spawns for the entire day changed to Pidgey. Now a move as bold as that's funny. Basically telling players to hold DL. But it didn't stop there, because Niantic
people take this so personal.
Raid.
Like, why do they take it so personal? Like, that's an attack on the player base, just making it all Pidgey. Yeah, it's just not the greatest event for sure. But it is April Fool's, right? It's not like they're just straight up like laughing at you. I think it would be more of a joke if they'd made some joke, like they gave you like a bundle of raid passes, but it was like in-person raid passes. You know, like that would be hilarious if they gave you like a free gift and it had like 3 in-person passes. Like that'd be so funny. Like that would be hilarious, and I can understand why that would make people mad. But this is I don't know. I feel like people are.
Which is an
they're
event
just
that
taking
only
it too
happens
personal.
on one day, and on one day only. And
Yeah, it's
also
good for
requires you to go to
EXP,
a
I
random
suppose.
location at a random time. Should happen on Easter. You know, a day when a lot of people are
They
going to be
always
busy
do
spending
this.
time with family and friends.
Like they always put events on major holidays. My very first EX raid for Mewtwo was on Christmas Day, and I have it. I have the date to prove it. Like here, let me just show you. I'll bring it up real quick. But yeah, like this is not new that they have events on holidays. I mean, yeah, it sucks. Like why was I at Starbucks doing a Mewtwo raid on Christmas? It's because I was not with my family. All right. I was out here alone and I was feeling lonely. So my girlfriend at the time, she took me to go. She dropped me off at this Starbucks and I did a raid. And I got myself a Mewtwo on Christmas. That's what I did with my Christmas day, you know? And my Mewtwo's name is Santa. I think it's actually a 98 or 96% Mewtwo also. Let me bring it up here real quick on stream. I'm trying to find. Oh, there it is. I just want to show you this Mewtwo just to like kind of prove that they've always done like I don't know. I guess they just assume most people that play the game are adults, and that's when they're free. But yeah, let me show you this Mewtwo I caught on Christmas. Yeah, there is Santa Claus, Shadow Ball Mewtwo, 2017 Christmas Day. Well, let me make this bigger so you can see it if you can't see it. If you're watching like mobile or something, I don't know. I caught this on Christmas, yo. Santa. As an adult, this is like the closest it's gonna get to being like believing in Santa Claus again. Going out, and this was like this was a debut Mewtwo. I don't know if it wasn't the first one because there was the Oklahoma one, right, for GoFest. All the people that attended that got that Mewtwo, but this was one that was done in EX raids. And that was cool at the time, honestly. It was like, I remember when I used to work downtown LA, we had a big group of people that were constantly raiding. People would even go to each other's jobs and grab their phones. And we trusted each other like this, where it's like we would hand our phones off, like, yo, will you do the raid for me? And they're like, yeah, dude, we need help anyways. So they'd like go up with everyone's phones and like they'd be on their lunch break. And then they'd go back at the end of the raid and hand all the phones back. But if you don't know what an EX raid is, because it's not a thing anymore, it's kind of similar to an elite raid, except it depended on if you raided at it's so confusing. So whenever EX raids were a thing, you got invited to a certain raid at a certain time that was exclusive to a certain amount of people. This kind of shows you how many people were playing at the time too. So there were, like, for example, sponsored gyms and parks were usually considered EX gyms. They would show you on the gym that it was an EX gym. And if you participated in a raid in that gym before the next EX raid was sending out ticket invites, you had a chance of getting invited to that raid. So everyone would get invites to these EX raids. I think there was a way to invite a friend too, if I remember at one point. But I remember I used to do this all the time. I used to like run into different spots in downtown LA and there's like the Sprint store all the way in downtown LA. I'd run to it, yo, like 15-minute walk. I'd freaking run in my work outfit, which was like at the time, like I'm wearing long pants, dress shoes, because I was doing data entry at this grocery store. So I was just like, it'd be hot and I'd be like running like with my phone, like I'm gonna go do this, like what, like a Deoxys raid, or I'm trying to think what was like at the time that was like popular. And but yeah, anyways, it was an interesting time anyways. But let me continue on with this video because I got a little distracted showing off this Mewtwo.
Why? Well, there are two potential things going on.
But like, yeah, we can question why still, but it's not new, is what I'm trying to get across.
Here, both equally as dubious. The mental gymnastics these guys do when asked about it is crazy. Justifying these changes because they want to hone in on their core demographic of Singaporean grandmothers. In reality, what they really want is your location data. They ain't getting any useful data to sell if people can play the game from home. It's like a meme, honestly, at this point. So anything that enables that's gotta go. Even if that means making the game unplayable for a lot of people. Because you know, as they say, if something is free, you're the product. Now the next theory is so insane, it's hard even for myself to believe. But it seems like Niantic is self-sabotaging. You see, Pokemon GO isn't the only game Niantic has made. Niantic has pumped out various other Pokemon
See, like, I feel like this is just stretching. They're not like, I don't know. like maybe it could be viewed as self-sabotage, but for example, when I go to Twitter and I see people tweeting at Niantic in their accounts on all social media platforms, the way people word, they say, fix the raids passes, fix the raid pass, fix the price of the raid passes. But when you use that type of language against a company that already thinks they fixed a problem in their eyes, it doesn't really make sense. You know, like that's what I'm looking at when I see them. I feel like Niantic already thinks they fixed it. They don't really care what you think. Probably, I mean, I don't know. Who really knows what they're thinking? But I don't think it's self-sabotage, honestly. I think they know that they're going to lose some players, but we don't know exactly what their data looks like. I think if they don't respond ever to Heroes Niantic and this whole raid pass thing, then it's pretty evident that it's just a calculated decision on there, and they don't. This is not by any chance a mistake, you know? Like,
but with other IPs, all of which typically crash and burn.
I mean, remember I made a video on my YouTube channel like a year or two ago talking about how Niantic got pretty much like a hedge fund from a tech company. Like they got a big donation from a tech hedge fund. Why do people not realize that's like they have so much money beyond what you even know? Like you know what I'm trying to say? Like people only look at the numbers Pokemon Go profited. They don't actually see how much money Niantic, like John Hanke, has in his pocket. I mean, maybe they can, but who really knows? I'm just saying, whenever I read that article, it was evident to me at that time, they don't need to care what the player base thinks. They can do whatever they want, and they're going to always have enough funding to be afloat. And that's what I got from that video. I mean, it's like I've been talking about this stuff for years. Yo, literally, even before PvP, when I used to do my mobile streams, I would be talking about how the raid system is just bad. I wouldn't even be like, and I live in Los Angeles. Like I was just telling you about my experience raiding when it was fruitful. It was a highlight of my like career for sure as a Pokemon Go player, because I had a lot of fun and met a lot of people, and I definitely had more privilege living in a city like Los Angeles raiding than anywhere else. But did I continue raiding and becoming a hardcore raider? Was I a Master League aficionado or whatever? It's like, I could be if I had the level 50 Pokemon, but I never wanted to raid really. I just like once I just got to a point where I don't care about the shinies anymore. I don't care about the good IV ones. I don't care about having them for Master League. So raiding just kind of phased out naturally. Like most of the raids I would do were just because I wanted the shiny Pokemon for Pokemon Home at a point. And then even then, like I just, especially now that I've like kind of distanced myself a bit from the game, I don't even have any FOMO at all. I just kind of am a casual player of Pokemon Go. I've been casually sending my Pokemon to home, and I don't know, it's like I have reserved the right to want to play the game again at some point. At the same time, I just don't think the game will ever die the way people think it's going to.
Peridot is a little different, because this time around, it's not borrowing from any other IP. It's completely owned by Niantic. So what's Peridot like? Well, it's quite literally just a Pokemon Go ripoff, complete with knockoff Pokemon. You see, when you want to use an existing IP, that right comes at a cost that doesn't exist if you don't borrow from any other IP. Now, I don't think it's far-fetched to believe that Pokemon Go's current state and the upcoming release of their one-to-one clone is a pure coincidence. Having Pokemon Go be a dumpster fire while offering players a one-to-one alternative that profits you more isn't out of the realm of possibility. However, if Niantic's plan really is to try and make players jump ship from Pokemon Go to Peridot,
I don't think that's...
It has to be one of the most insane and tone-deaf plans ever conceived.
Niantic did kind of make a mistake here, and the players deserve better who play the game. Regardless of how I feel about the game and Niantic, the players ultimately deserve a better playing experience. And I've been advocating for that forever. So now I just kind of laugh at it all.
It's not the game mechanics that carry Pokemon Go.
It's just humorous, honestly. It's pretty funny.
And if it weren't for that, Pokemon Go itself would have been left in 2016. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. I love hearing from you guys, and I make sure to reply to everyone. If you made it to the end of this video, or just love my objective opinions, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. We're getting ever so closer to that 1,000 subscriber goal, so every little bit of support helps. But anyways, I'll see you guys next time. Ciao, fellas.
What do you think of this video? I thought it was alright. I mean, I definitely agree with a lot of points you made. So take care, friends. Sass Squad is getting stronger each and every day. Have a good morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you're tuning in.